Here are the top stories for today, July 29, 2019. Malacanang vows to provide assistance to beneficiaries affected by the shutdown of lotto and other PCSO games. President Duterte is satisfied by the government's response following the quakes that struck Batanes. Malacanang urges Congress to introduce a new bill against contractualization. And the Department of Tourism says rehabilitation of El Nido, Palawan is still viable without having it closed.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Lotto enthusiasts over the weekend were surprised by the sudden closure of PCSO outlets. PCSO beneficiaries are among those affected by the closure, but Malacanang assures assistance is on its way. Benj Mondoc reports.
Lahat ho ng laro ng lotto, STL, peryahan ng bayan, or whatever nature, there's one that yung gambling machine.
Keno.
What's the name?
Keno.
Keno. I said all gaming activities, yung gambling that got the franchise from government through PCSO are as of today suspended or terminated because of massive corruption.
In Manila, the PNP closed down more than 21,000 outlets and betting areas for Lotto and other numbers games licensed by the PCSO. A total of 251 Lotto and STL kiosks across the BARMM were also shut down in compliance with the President's directive. In General Santos City, the PCSO counted around 120 licensed Lotto outlets in the city, while the city police monitored over 200 STL outlets operated by Trento Gaming and Leisure Corporation. In Davao City, police started its monitoring and inspections in all parts of the region as early as 5 a.m. on Saturday to make sure that no STL outlets are secretly open. In Compostela Valley, all PCSO licensed STL outlets have discontinued operating voluntarily. In Zamboanga City, a total of 172 local lottery outlets are affected by President Rodrigo Duterte's order. In Western Visayas, there were no violent reactions from the operators of around 300 Lotto outlets over the closure. Also included in the shutdown is the collecting station of Super Lucky Bigler Incorporated, the authorized agent for small-town lottery in Negros Occidental. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo defended President Duterte's decision, noting that government is losing 60 to 70% of its rightful shares due to corruption among major PCSO players. He says the public is still assured of financial assistance by writing to the Office of the President or to the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation. Malacanang says the ban remains until the government finishes its investigation. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Mondoc.
President Rodrigo Duterte visited Batanes last Sunday after the province was shaken by two powerful earthquakes on Saturday morning. The president inspected the local government's response to the disaster and its victims. Rom Dulfo has the story.
President Duterte is satisfied with the performance of the government in responding to victims of the magnitudes 5.4 and 5.9 earthquakes that rocked Batanes Saturday morning. Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo says that the president thinks concerned government agencies were able to provide assistance to both injured and displaced individuals. He said the government provides immediate response because there are agencies who have prepared for such incidents. Panelo said the government will prioritize providing food, medicine, and other hospital needs and later proceed with rehabilitation. Meanwhile, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles also ensured that the government will provide medical services to those injured and displaced by the quakes. He said that while the Itbaya District Hospital suffered minimal cracks, it was still fully functional. He also advised residents against returning to their homes due to the possible further damage that can be caused by aftershocks. As of 8 a.m. Monday morning, the NDRRMC said the casualty count included 9 confirmed deaths, 1 missing person, 63 injured, and 911 affected households. The quakes resulted in a total of 47 million peso worth of damages. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfa.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Sunday ordered the construction of a new clinic worth 40 million pesos in Itbayat, Batanes to replace the hospital that was damaged by a series of earthquakes on Saturday. In his afternoon briefing with national and regional officials in the province's capital town of Basco, Duterte said he is not keen on repairing the hospital because it would be costly. The president also visited Itbayat and made an aerial surveillance of the damages caused by the said earthquakes. He assured the affected villagers of enough potable water, relief items, housing kits, and other amenities. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council said at least 5 villages in Itbayat Island were the hardest hit, and many affected residents have sought shelter at public markets. The Defense Department is tasked to lead rehabilitation efforts following the earthquake in Itbayat, Batanes. More on this and other news around the metro from Janice Cave.
The defense and military sectors will be playing a major role in the ongoing relief and rehabilitation of quake-battered Itbayat, Batanes. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said the DND and military will assist in search and rescue operations, transport victims to Basco for treatment, and transport relief goods and other supplies from Manila and elsewhere to Basco and then to Itbayat. They will also be responsible for the transport of construction materials intended for the repairs of damaged government facilities and homes. Meanwhile, President Duterte wants the Philippine Coast Guard to patrol the waters of Batanes in light of Chinese reclamation activities near the country's waters. Duterte raised concerns that China and Taiwan, two of the claimants in the West Philippine Sea, are near Batanes Islands. He added he does not want a repeat of the 2012 Scarborough Shoal standoff, which allegedly allowed China to have control over parts of the West Philippine Sea. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said a marine detachment already exists in the area, while a Coast Guard station in Basco might be the only thing that needs to be built. In other news, the AFP on Sunday is delighted after being named as one of the top 10 performing government agencies by the 2019 Executive Outlook Survey of the Makati Business Club. The AFP is the only non-economic sector that made it to the list. Spokesperson Edgar Arevalo said having the AFP included in the list of top-performing agencies is a good development as the military is integral to the government. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines assures that the proposed Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps, or ROTC, for senior high school students does not force high school students to become soldiers. AFP spokesperson Edgar Arevalo reacted to Senator Amy Marcos's pronouncement against the proposal, saying a kid cannot be forced to become a soldier. Arevalo said the AFP maintains that taking and completing the ROTC program does not make one a soldier. Arevalo noted that the proposal to revive the ROTC training merely equips the youth to respond to calamities and national emergencies. Meanwhile, netizens believe that the proposed Mandatory Reserve Officers Training Corps training for senior high school students is the best way to instill patriotism in the Filipino youth, saying ROTC would help the next generation of Filipinos from being brainwashed with wrong ideologies. The AFP has refuted claims that ROTC can militarize high school students. But does undergoing military training compel students to become soldiers? Let's find out the public's thoughts in today's Boses ng Masa.
Yung ROTC actually, ano lang yan part ng requirements sa school. Pero pag sinabi mo ROTC, which is Reserve Officer, in short, siguro pag kailangan ng estado ang serbisyo mo, at least may training ka na. Pero not exactly na pag kumuha ka ng ROTC, automatic ka nang sasapi sa military. Nasa ng tao yan, nasa kanyang gusto. Kung gusto niya mag-military, at least naka-training na siya. Pero hindi yun na pag kumuha ka ng ROTC, sasapi ka na sa military. Hindi. Part ng requirements ng eskwelahan yan
For me, di ba, under the Constitution, it is the primary duty of every Filipino citizen when it comes to mandatory ROTC. I think it's just a strategy of the president in order for us to be ready in times of war. I think it's just a preparation. Really, in fact, for me, I'm not anti or pro Duterte. I'm just looking for the fact that it is good. Kasi under the Constitution naman, mandatory naman for civil at saka military kapag nagkaroon ng invasion dito sa Philippines.
Mas nasanay na kasi nung araw na may ROTC, lalo sa high school at saka sa college. Para pagdating nila sa gusto nila mag-military, okay lang, kailangan wag lang yung sa kumakaliwa sila o kung lumalaban sila sa gobyerno.
Hindi naman lahat siguro kasi dati nadatnan ko yan eh. Hindi man lahat, depende yan sa nag-RO kung tutuloy sila sa pagka-military. Sa dati na ko military, alam ko yung sistema. Pero kung mas maganda, kung diretso sa military, mas maganda. Para dumami ang natin ng process. Para bilang, hindi natin alam panahon, bilang ready sa kung ano man mangyayari sa bansa natin. Ganun.
Still to come, the palace urges Congress to introduce a new bill against contractualization. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte warns against companies using her name and photos. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
One of the reasons why I also want to talk to you guys is I've been going around the Philippines talking to different media organizations, and we agreed that a regional media summit is necessary.
It's necessary for us in the media to once and for all identify
The lurking problems in the media. Not only questions about press freedom, but
problem in our workplaces. I mean, sakto mo na, di ba? Because
in economics and the workplace, the future of media workers. I'm not saying media owners, media organization owners, but media workers.
this is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
Malacanang said Congress may introduce a new bill to end contractualization and end-of-contract or endo schemes following the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte to veto the Security of Tenure Bill. Senator Joel Villanueva, author of the Security of Tenure Bill and chair of the Senate Committee on Labor, has earlier vowed to refile the measure, noting that the social protection of workers is more important than what business organizations may gain. Senate President pro tempore Ralph Recto, who expressed support for Villanueva's intention to refile the bill, said the executive department should also file its own version of the bill. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo on Sunday said Congress must ensure that a bill to end contractualization is not absolute in consideration of the interests of businesses or employers, while NEDA Secretary Ernesto Pernia said it should be tweaked to benefit both employers and workers. Panelo explained that the president vetoed the Security of Tenure Bill as several companies may close down if the measure is unable to give a definite classification of which companies are exempted from contractualization. He said the president still wants to end contractualization and that the president is just balancing the rights of the management and workers. He described the vetoing of the Security of Tenure Bill as a temporary setback for the working class while the government assesses the concerns of the businesses and employers. Mayor Inday Sara Duterte Carpio vehemently denied her involvement in an online lending company, Pesos PH, after a photo of her surfaced in the social media endorsing the said company. The Lady Mayor clarified in a statement on Sunday that she is not associated with Pesos PH or other online lending companies that offer fast cash loans with exorbitant fees and interest. She also warned the public to be always circumspect in dealing with individuals, groups, and organizations and companies that are using her name in their business. The mayor also urged the public to immediately report to the Philippine National Police or National Bureau of Investigation any fraudulent businesses or those that use her name to further their illegal activities. Pesos PH has not yet responded to the statement of Duterte. A soldier belonging to the Higaonon tribe died during an encounter with the New People's Army in Misamis Oriental. And 10 Filipino fishermen who were detained in Indonesia for illegal fishing, poaching, smuggling, and illegal entry are now back in the country. More on this from Benj Bondo.
In Maguindanao, some 250 grade schoolers of the Midpandakan Elementary School were beneficiaries of donated school supplies and other services from the Army's 40th Infantry Battalion. The outreach program is said to be part of the Army's commitment to impart community service and other efforts to win the people's trust and support. In Misamis Oriental, a soldier belonging to the Higaonon tribe died during an encounter with the New People's Army. The encounter happened on Friday in Barangay Kibanban, which is known as a rebel lair. It also resulted in the surrender of a wounded NPA rebel who brought along an M16A1 rifle. In Davao City, 10 Filipino fishermen, including one minor, who were arrested by Indonesian authorities in their territorial waters for various violations, arrived in Sasa Wharf on Saturday afternoon. Most of the repatriated fishermen came from General Santos City, who were released with the effort of the DFA and the Philippine liaison in Manado, Indonesia. DSWD distributed food packs and cash assistance to the 10 fishermen for them to start a new livelihood. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
The Court of Appeals has denied the National Union of People's Lawyers or NUPL's petition for a writ of amparo and habeas data. The former Special 15th Division found that the group failed to prove the military's participation in alleged acts of harassment against its members. The CA likewise ruled that the NUPL failed to establish the accountability of President Rodrigo Duterte, who is generally immune from lawsuits. The NUPL, which is suspected to be a legal front of the CPP-NPA, accused the government of red tagging, surveillance, intimidation, threats, and even fatal attacks against them.
Owners of the Yoshima Coffee Company or UCC franchise in Bacolod City are planning to source raw materials from Negrense farmers in the future. ACC Top Food Ventures President Steve Choa said it is his dream to promote and support coffee growers in Mount Canlaon. Choa said local cafes share the goal of supporting and educating farmers when it comes to coffee production and processing to scale up the quality of their produce. He said he wants to promote third wave coffee, which refers to higher quality of coffee that is still lacking in Bacolod. UCC is known for its distinct Japanese-style coffee making that makes use of premium quality beans. Up next, the Department of Tourism says rehabilitation of El Nido, Palawan is still viable without having it closed. And a theater group celebrates womanhood in a series of historical plays. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Salamat sa Diyos. Meron na po tayong alas 8 ng umaga. Muli po isang magandang umaga, Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao.
Isa sa mga naging polisiya ko bilang kalihim ng Presidential Communications Operations Office ay ang magkaroon ng magandang relasyon sa media. Lagi kong sinasabi na bilang isang mediaman, kailangan ang malusog na ugnayan ng media at ng pamahalaan. para may katuwang ang gobyerno sa pagpapalaganap ng impormasyon tungkol sa mga programang aming isinasagawa. Malaki ang papel ng media sa tagumpay ng isang administrasyon. At dahil sa matibay na pundasyon na naitayo ko sa mga kasama natin sa propesyon, laging nariyan ang kanilang suporta. Nitong nakaraang mga araw, kasabay ng mga isinagawang prisona sa iba't ibang bahagi ng ating bansa, ay nag-ikot din ako sa mga himpilan ng radyo at telebisyon. DZXL interview, ANC interview, DZMM interview, DXAB interview, TV5 interview, CNN interview. Nagpapasalamat ako sa ating mga kasamahan sa media na naging kaagapay ko sa pagpapalaganap ng Duterte legacy. Mabuhay po kayo!
The rehabilitation of El Nido, Palawan is still possible without closing some of its beaches, according to the Department of Tourism or DOT. Plans for the cleanup of Bakwit Bay and Korong-Korong outfall were on its way due to a high level of fecal coliform. In a letter dated July 15, the DILG asked the DOT and the DENR to convene the El Nido Interagency Rehabilitation Task Force to discuss the cleanup of Bakwit Bay and Korong-Korong outfall. The DOT recommends a rehabilitation without closure. On the other hand, DILG Secretary Eduardo Año said Bakwit Bay and Korong-Korong outfall may be closed from water activities to preserve the area and prevent the contraction of diseases. Last November, the DENR set a 6-month timeline for the local government to rehabilitate El Nido following the national government's push for sustainable tourism in 2018. And in our foreign news, the international community joined the country of Tunisia to pay their last tribute to the late President Beji Caid Essebsi. Tens of thousands of Tunisian people attended the funeral of the president, who passed away on Thursday morning at the age of 92. The leaders who attended the funeral include French President Emmanuel Macron, Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Prime Minister of Libya's unbacked government Fayez al-Sarraj, and the Spanish King Felipe VI. Several other delegations also attended the funeral, including senior officials representing Kuwait, Oman, and Morocco. The body of the president was buried on Saturday in Al-Zalag Cemetery in the Tunisian capital under high security measures. Essebsi was born on November 29, 1926 in Sidi Bou, said the northern suburbs of the capital. His first involvement in politics dates back to 1941 when he joined the nationalist Neo-Destur party. He took over the Tunisian presidency after winning the 2014 elections. In sports, Talk and Text caught Barangay Ginebra in an off night and wasted little time grabbing a 2-point lead in their PBA Commissioner's Cup semifinal series on Sunday. Terrence Jones notched his 4th triple-double of the conference with 15 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 assists. Jason Castro, Roger Pogoy, and Troy Rosario took care of most of the scoring as TNT fashioned a more comfortable follow-up to its 95-92 win in a best-of-5 series opener last Friday. On the other hand, Ginebra made their lowest output in the mid-season conference with just 31 of 73 shots from the floor. The Katropa now has the chance to close out the series Tuesday at the Mall of Asia Arena. A theater group celebrates the power of womanhood in a series of plays to be shown in UP Diliman. The plays depict the struggles and triumphs of women throughout history. Janice Cave with the story.
Driven by a common goal to continue inspiring change, dula ang Universidad ng Pilipinas 44th and UP Playwrights Theater's 28th theater season present Daluhong, a play depicting some of the most challenging times for women in Philippine history. First in the season lineup is The House of Bernarda Alba, which is about a domineering matriarch and her daughters who rival each other. Fuente Ovejuna is another upcoming play based upon an uprising against a cruel, sex-crazed feudal overlord in the village of Fuente Ovejuna, Castile in 1476. The third is Nana Rosa by Rodi Vera, which is returning to the stage after a successful run last season. Nana Rosa recounts the life of Rosa Henson, the first Filipino to publicly come out as a comfort woman in 1992. Dula ang UP Artistic Director Banawi Miklat Jansen expressed how these are better times, especially following the enactment of the Republic Act 11313 or Bawal Bastos Bail. The plays will show at Wilfredo Maria Guerrero Theater, second floor of Palma Hall in UP Diliman, Quezon City. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
At least 2 to 4 tropical cyclones are expected to hit the country in August. Pag-asa on Monday said the storms are all expected to mostly affect northern Luzon. Meantime, a low-pressure area has formed over the West Philippine Sea and is expected to intensify into a tropical cyclone while moving away from the country. Pag-asa last spotted the LPA 380 kilometers west of Dagupan City, Pangasinan. It will enhance the prevailing southwest monsoon, which is affecting the whole country. Meanwhile, let's check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
Malacanang vows to provide assistance to beneficiaries affected by the shutdown of lotto and other PCSO games. President Duterte is satisfied by the government's response following the quakes that struck Batanes. Malacanang urges Congress to introduce a new bill against contractualization. And the Department of Tourism says rehabilitation of El Nido, Palawan is still viable without having it closed.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.